Another review going over another album, hip hop only. Today we're gonna do Roc Marciano's Marciology. New York City rapper, a longtime rapper. He's been around for a minute now. He dropped an album recently working with The Alchemist. He worked with The Alchemist before on older projects, but this is another one. Full-length album, about 14 tracks on this one. He kind of reminds me of Megalon. A lot of people may not know who that rapper is. He's very underground, a little bit more on the old school side, but West Side Gun. Oh, and he kind of gives me MF Grimm vibes too. Not MF Doom, MF Grimm. You guys probably never heard of him. MF Grimm is basically kind of like a close friend to MF Doom. Kind of sounds like that too. A little bit of those three rappers put together. His whole style of rapping kind of reminds me of Larry June, and Larry June actually another rapper that I've critiqued before with this segment. I did a reaction video to Larry June's album, and I think Larry June is a longtime friend of Roc Marciano. Their styles are very similar. They don't sound the same when they rap, but they kind of have like a similar style of rapping. They sort of talk about the same things in their music, and he's actually featured on the album. The album's produced by The Alchemist, which is really cool. The Alchemist is one of my favorite producers to ever exist. I think I have him number 5 on my list, greatest producers of all time. So this one released late March. Never really heard of Roc Marciano up until this year, which is strange because he's been around for a long time. He's been putting albums out since 2010, so it's kind of a surprise I never heard of him. We got this one album here, Marciology, his latest release. We're about to go over it. Before I do though, make sure you guys check out the most recent song that I put out. I got a music video for it. Dragon Propane. Every other platform I have my music on. SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere where I post my music. So go ahead and check that out. I got a music video for it too. The next song that I'll be dropping is set for August 4th, and it's called Hellcat. That's the next song, so make sure you check it out once it's out. And also I got a mixtape I'll be dropping October 4th, 15 track mixtape. This one's called #INDICA, right on October 4th. Marciology by Roc Marciano. I'm about to go over a few of the songs with you guys, give you guys an idea of how this one sounds like. Then we're gonna break it down. We'll start with the first track. This one's Went Diamond.
My libido, speeding in the ghost, trying to be incognito. Slid on your sliders, you small beef like a side of sliders. Might slide in with some hard bottoms, like rubber bull song on the wire.
So this next track, Bad Juju, this one's featuring Larry June. So just like I was saying earlier,
shit costs a lot, it'll start a conversation. 2 cribs in the bay, 1 for staycation. Casual little dinner, 600 at crustaceans.
The next track I'll play, Gold Crossbow.
Niggas can't touch me, I'm a germaphobe. So many turncoats, no wonder I've been turning cold. It's too cold to return your coat. You told your shirt was stole. Back was over serving blowy coffin bird.
I'll play one more, Tapeworm.
It was a dub and then the pendulum swung like diamond pendants on a rich thug. Who can pick 100 Timberlands of the lugs? Which is done, we know you get in the construction.
So Roc Marciano, Marciology. This is a 2024 album released by Roc Marciano with The Alchemist as the main producer on this album. 14 track album. A few things about it, man. I think it's a pretty cool album for the most part. He is that type of rapper in some sense. He'll kind of like give you some knowledge, mostly street knowledge, of course. You know, stuff that you can really take and teach yourself in your own sort of way, and it can help you improve your own life type of thing. He does that throughout the album a lot. The beats, The Alchemist is on it, so you already know, like, I try my best not to be biased, but you probably already know what I'm about to say. As you guys know, The Alchemist is one of my favorite producers. One of the first producers I started listening to, growing up listening to hip-hop, learning more from it, getting into like beat making. The production is really good on this. The Alchemist basically showcased what he's best at in terms of his sampling style. Does a lot of loops. His sample game when it comes to like sample selection and taking the right songs to chop up. I think he's one of the best, if not the best at that, especially nowadays, 2024. His sample game is just ridiculous. The type of songs that he chooses to sample is always some type of rare song from some artist that you've never heard of. You'll find some gold, man, finding the right song to chop up. The production is just like, it's good, man. I have nothing really bad to say about the production. He doesn't really try too many different ideas when it comes to like sampling and just production in general. That's kind of what you want from a guy like The Alchemist. His raw style is basically the best kind of sound that you want out of The Alchemist. You don't really want him to try different things, kind of like Kanye West and like Pharrell Williams. They'll kind of dip into like different styles and different genres to try to give you like a different style of beat. With The Alchemist, he's much better at looping and sampling early to mid 90s style and sticking to that, because throughout the album there is a difference between each beat. It's not like it gets boring and you get the same type of beat over and over and over again. He does a really good job at sticking to the style that he's best at, also making every beat sound a little bit different at the same time, which is not easy to do at all, especially with the Alchemist and the style that he likes to stick to. Eventually every track's gonna start to sound the same, and regardless of the song that you're sampling, The Alchemist did a really good job at taking a different song, kind of chopping it up in a different way so that you're sort of getting a different beat every time. The beats are pretty simple, but at the same time, The Alchemist, his beat making style is pretty simple. He sort of has like a Jay Dilla style of making beats where he'll keep the elements of the song that he's sampling very close together and kind of just build around the sound so that you're getting the original like song. And there's just something good about that when it comes to beat making. Jay Dilla was really good at that too. Nothing bad to say about the beat making. I think the beats carry the album for sure. The beats outdid the raps, even though Roc Marciano is like a pretty good rapper. About to get into that, but one of the best pieces of work from The Alchemist. He made so many beats in his career. He has so much production credits, but this is probably his best work in a long time. Roc Marciano is a good rapper. He's an older rapper. I'm pretty sure he's in his mid 40s right now, and you can definitely tell in the level of skill in his lyrics. He has a lot of wisdom. When you're listening to his lyrics, you gotta sort of pause sometimes and really pay attention to what he's saying, because as I was saying earlier, he does have that type of style where there's a lot of gems and a lot of virtues, a lot of street knowledge that you can kind of pick up, translate into your own world, and sort of like learn from it that way. We all can't really relate to a guy like Roc Marciano, especially the type of stuff that he's saying in his music, coming from New York City. The wisdom, the fact that he's in his mid 40s, doing it for such a long time, being a New York rapper at that age, sort of tells you that he's one of the, not the pioneers of rap, but a lot of rappers that come from New York kind of carry that pioneer style where they're gonna give you hip hop the way it's supposed to sound, and not this like new age stuff where a lot of people are like trapping and this and that. They're mixing the genres. They're adding like R&B into the rap music. They're trying to sing when they rap. Roc Marciano is sort of old school with it. Kind of gives you those raw, not bebop rap, but you know what I mean? It's sort of like an older style of hip hop where he's kind of just giving you bars, being himself, giving you New York street style rap. Just like I was saying, the fact that he puts a lot of like virtues and a lot of subliminal messages where you think about what he's saying and you kind of like get what the message that he's trying to bring across. He's one of those type of rappers, and he did a good job at being that type of rapper on this album, taking Alchemist beats and really transforming them into like what we get on the album. The chemistry between The Alchemist and Roc Marciano is definitely there. They work pretty well with each other. Not too much bad things I can say about it. I would have gave it like a higher rating, and I would have liked it a lot more if the idea of how the album is supposed to sound like was sort of taken. Roc Marciano sort of took a little more time on it to like develop it more, make it even bigger idea. Roc Marciano might have rushed this album just a bit. It kind of sounds like that when you're listening to his raps. I think the production is perfect. Nothing to do with the production production. I think the production is completely fine, but on Roc Marciano's part, the way he came at the beats and approached the ideas of what the Alchemist wants for the beats, I feel like he was, I won't say lazy, but I feel like he might have rushed it just a bit. Kind of just heard the beats and immediately got started with the raps and how he wants the raps to sound on the beats. And it sounds like that whole process was a little bit rushed when I'm listening to the songs. Just a little bit though, just a bit. Because I think a lot of the ideas that he came up with for the beats could have been developed a little bit stronger, and he could have taken his time a little bit more on the progression of the ideas. He could have came up with a better album out of that in a way. I know I explained that a little bit weird, but like everything just sounds a little bit rushed when it comes to like the lyrics, the song ideas, and the messages behind like the name of the song, what the song's about. That whole process was like a little bit rushed. He could have spent a little more time on the main idea of like how he wants the album to sound, like the messages behind each song. But like it's not too much of like an issue, of course, because the album sounds pretty good. I think the ideas for each song, even like the styles of the beats, the whole idea of like what each song is supposed to mean, I think is pretty powerful, high level when it comes to hip hop. The album could have been made a little bit better if there was more time put to it. Maybe the album was rushed a little bit more than it should have, maybe because of money reasons, and he's working with another producer. It's not like he's making his own beats. There's a lot of money that has to go around, so that could be the reason why the album was maybe rushed a little more. It was supposed to be. They spent more time on this album, the ideas, the subliminals that power each song. I feel like if they put a little more time into like preparing the ideas and like writing each song, like the strength of how they're writing every song, how the meaning of each song reflects the beat, if they spent a little more time on that, I feel like I would have gave this album a higher rating and I would have liked it a lot more, and it would be a lot closer to like a classic album. It does feel a little bit rushed, so that's probably the only bad thing I gotta say about the album. Yeah, Roc Marciano is a pretty good rapper, but like he's not that good, you know what I mean? He's not like a super lyricist where he's giving me bars where I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? He doesn't really do that so much. He has the type of style where he's sort of writing the beat, sort of like Larry June, kind of just saying a bunch of like ear candy stuff that's like real through his experiences growing up in New York and all of that. It's mainly ear candy, and you're just kind of getting a bunch of bars that like you want to hear with the type of beats that you're hearing it to. So it's sort of that at a higher level, but as an older rapper, I feel like we could have got a little bit more out of Roc Marciano on an album like this, especially getting beats from a guy like The Alchemist, a super legendary producer like The Alchemist, right? So that's probably the only bad things I gotta say about the album. But besides that, I think it was pretty well put together album for the most part. The first album I'm hearing from Roc Marciano, so probably one of my favorite produced albums I've heard in a long time. In terms of production, definitely one of the better albums I've heard so far this year. I'll definitely say that, man. In terms of a rating, I'm gonna give this one an 8.4 out of 10. I think an 8.4 is good because I think the ideas and what these guys mainly wanted this album to sound like, I think they were successful with that. In terms of like the vision for the album and how they wanted it to sound altogether, they definitely hit that. But I just think everything that they prepared for the album in terms of songwriting, production ideas, how the lyrics are going to reflect off the beat, they could have paid attention to that more and took a little more time developing the album into like something like even like greater. That's all I gotta say about it. And it's the reason why I'm not gonna go over an 8.5 and more. I think it's definitely not less than an 8.4 because all of those ideas are there. They were done in a very strong manner, but I just could have been better. I think it's a strong album, but there's definitely potential for it to like be even better if they prepared for it a little bit better. And they should have added a little more features too. Like they had like maybe 3 or 4 features. Like they got Larry June on it too. I think if they got got the right type of rappers to feature on this. It could have been better. 8.4 out of 10. Roc Marciano, Marciology. Pretty cool album, man. That's it for this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos, the segment, man. Got plenty more. Doing 2 of these a week. Stay tuned for the next episode set for Thursday. More content, more music. Make sure you guys check out Hellcat set for August 4th. The 15-track mixtape hashtag INDICA set for October 4th, man. Yeah, that's all I got for this episode, for this video. Really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. I'm out of here.